So I know
Sure.
you've started your own startup and you're
Mm-hmm.
now a senior PM at Glassdoor.
Mm-hmm.
So when it comes to creating new products or improving existing products, right?
Mm-hmm.
How does the ideation and validation process vary? Um,
That's a great question. Actually, coincidentally, I've been having sort of a conversation with one of my coworkers who we're kind of going through an ideation process right now for new products, just as we begin sort of the second quarter planning. And so there's, definitely lots of research and lots of frameworks that you can use. I think the framework for me that I really like to work backwards from is really first trying to understand the company, whether it's the company's goals, missions, objectives, where do we necessarily have brand permissibility or brand authority, try to understand from my supervisors or the folks to whom I'm responsible for, what are their outcomes that they're looking for, and then subsequently identify and understand areas that perhaps we've tried and haven't worked, or areas that are a little bit more blue ocean territory that we haven't tried.
mhm.
Then subsequently, I think what's important is what one of Amazon's mantras, which is start with a customer and work backwards. I feel like that's really important. Talking to the customer, understanding their pain points, their needs. There are a lot of different frameworks. One that I am really keen on is the jobs to be done framework, effectively trying to understand what are your users looking to get out of your product, and what are their goals and motivations. I think it's also really important as you sort of talk to customers to synthesize their needs and identify whether their need is more of like a shark bite versus a mosquito bite. Mosquito bites are annoying, but it's something I can kind of ignore, versus a shark bite is something that you probably should go see a doctor about. So again, in that context, then also trying to find a solution within, the context and framework of your organization, identifying if you are developing a Band-Aid, which is something that's nice to have, but in many situations not a must-have, versus something like a dialysis machine, you're going to definitely need it. And then so subsequently, I think a good product manager is always talking to customers, and this is definitely very much the case. Easier for B2C product managers as opposed to B2B product managers, where sometimes their customers are a little bit more difficult to access because you might be talking to executives or folks who are in a very specific niche or industry niche or role. So, with those folks, your time is extra precious. And then so in terms of just kind of developing the products, it's really then a function of gathering all the potential ideas, prioritizing them, continuing to validate them, making sure that there are potential customers who would pay for them or customers who would use them, make sure that you have the bandwidth and the resources to develop them, sort of prioritize them, and then add them to sort of your backlog from a high level.
So can you walk through an example in the past where you've actually validated an idea and differentiated between something that was a must-have versus a nice-to-have? How did you exactly do that?
Yeah, no, that's a really good question. I think for me, one of the examples I would go back to is at my previous company. It was an AI company called Astound.ai. It focuses in the IT service management space. I was their first hired product manager. And they play in the IT service management space. So if you're familiar with like Jira Service Desk or ServiceNow, companies that sell these large enterprise platforms to help you log bugs and log tickets. And I think for me, I guess just a little bit more about the description of the product. we had 3 different products. First product was a interactive virtual agent to help you diagnose your problems and hopefully autonomously resolve them. Second product, you leveraged machine learning models to sort of intelligently route tickets that we did create from our interactive virtual agent to the right help desk agent. And then the third product, which I owned, was focused on helping those help desk agents with accessing knowledge-based content and information that's relevant to the ticket using sort of natural language processing and natural language understanding so that they would be able to resolve the ticket more quickly. So in fact, take what a tier 3 support agent who has a lot of experience and being able to democratize their knowledge so that a tier 1 agent would be able to do what their tier 3 colleagues would be able to do.
Right.
And so for us, we were trying to understand, where are there potential opportunities to improve our product? One is that, we are developing an AI or an ML based product. And one, we were really focused on pushing to market, making sure that the product features meet the customer's needs, but we also had an internal need. And so this is sort of where I'm trying to steer the story and where I'm trying to get towards, and that's our recommendation engine was based upon the feedback from our users. So those would be like the technical support agents. And these are technical support agents who either work directly for the company, say like McDonald's, or were outsourced for a technical services firm like Infosys. And we faced a challenge in trying to continue to improve the learning of the machine learning model, because if you can imagine sort of having your tickets in one pane and then your answers in another pane, there was sometimes a opportunity for folks to select this is the right knowledge article, but in other instances they would kind of scroll through, but not necessarily select a knowledge article, or they kind of see from the title, oh, this is the answer. So as we wanted to train our model, what we need is more explicit feedback about does this solution, this knowledge article specifically meet the need of this task at hand. Right. So what we ended up doing was, again, to be able to train our model to be able to make better recommendations, which would in the end save our customers time, save the tech support agents time. We ended up adding a little additional friction into the process, which is typically something you don't want to do. Mm-hmm. But we ended up prototyping sort of this experience where if you opened up a knowledge article, you wouldn't just be able to close it. You'd have to sort of proactively select a reason, whether, yes, this answers it, it's not relevant, or it's like a poorly written article. So this was definitely sort of a hypothesis test of ours. In the end, we didn't end up implementing it because of sort of the frictions, but it was a really interesting kind of thought experiment about how do we sort of train our machine learning model? How do we work with users to try to understand what they're willing and able to do versus what is kind of pushing them a little bit too far as well. So through that process, we were able to identify, maybe we're going to have to kind of head back to the drawing board and sort of think of other ideas.